Welcome to Nitpicking Nerds. Today, we're going to talk about a list of 10 different commanders.
10 commanders that overperform.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds. You can subscribe to the channel for daily content, because we're still doing daily content. We're almost to 100 days in a row of daily content. Go check out our Patreon, where you can support us with actual dollars, and you can use the link in the description if you want to buy cards that you were going to buy anyway, and then that supports the channel without you spending any extra money.
Okay, so hopping into the video today, we're talking about commanders. Well, they're mostly recent commanders that you might not know to be afraid of, but when they're in the command zone, you should definitely be afraid of them.
They play better than they read. If you haven't built a deck around them or played against them or with them, you might not know some of the issues that you're going to face when you go up against these guys.
Yeah, and a lot of these commanders, we've straight up played against at this point, where it's like, oh my god, I thought there'd be a cool commander that would just be fun and nothing crazy. No, it's good. It's broken. It's insane. It's very, very strong. So the first one that we're going to start off with is Atrios, the Shroud Veil. The first thing I thought when I saw this commander was, good value commander. He's 6 mana.
Meh.
Man, yeah, meh was a great way. It's like we built the deck around him. We thought it was great. Every time I play against this guy, the value's off the charts. He's so hard to remove from the battlefield.
It's indestructible. That's not even a creature.
It's just, all it takes is they need two things with the commander. They need a sack outlet, and they need a good payoff. And all of a sudden, they're just going crazy. And you don't even need to be drawing cards in this deck, because you're just going to keep using the same creatures over and over again.
Yeah, you can loop even like bad creatures, and then it just still gets annoying. I mean, we're not really like, you could loop like a worm coil engine with this, and like, I don't even think that's a good card, but it's just annoying. Like, it's just never going to go away. Or like a Gray Merchant of Asphodel, or I'm thinking like Ashen Rider, or like Karmic Guide. It's just all this stuff that just never ever goes away. How much exile can you pack in your deck?
Yeah, but exile doesn't even do it, because this card says when something goes to exile, it just happens to work.
You have to exile Atrios.
You have to.
How many times can you do that?
Exactly. And these coin counters just stay on, and they stay out on the battlefield. I think this guy is, I thought he was just a very medium commander when I first saw him. Yeah, great value. But now it's like, when I see him, I know, okay, I need to make sure that deck doesn't get its bearings, because when it does, it just goes off every time.
I'll take off a turn. I'll take off an important turn to counterspell this guy.
Yes,
definitely.
I agree completely.
Next is actually two commanders. The first one is Kambal, Council of Allocation, and the second one is Liesa, Shroud of Dusk. They're both like the same thing. They're going to punish opponents for casting spells, and they don't look like much, but that really adds up super fast.
Yes. Liesa, you don't even have to play a ton of life gain, because herself, she's life gain. She's gonna mitigate that a ton. Campbell doesn't even hit your spells, but it's only non-creature spells for him. Still, you're going to be taxing people a lot. These are on the battlefield. Any storm decks, any like decks that want to go like 4 or 5 spells in a turn, they're just going to feel this a ton. Liesa is one of my commanders. You can't kill her. You kill Kambal 3 times. Okay, he costs like 1 billion mana. You kill Liesa 3 times. She costs 6 life in the same amount of mana, 5.
It's not like you can tap out for a sorcery speed 5 mana commander all that often. But the upside is some decks just don't get to play. If you're trying to storm off, if you're trying to cast 5 spells every turn, you're trying to respond to everything and interact, you're just going to get punished every time.
Yeah, the thing is, like, you don't have to tap out every single turn. This isn't dying every single go round. You could spend 2 or 3 turns in a row doing this, because her effect is so powerful that keeping her on the battlefield is going to just be worth it for a couple turns.
Well, I think that she should just die immediately. I don't know. I think that's why she's so good, is because if you don't kill her, you just win. So just like start killing this card, because it's really strong. Kambal at least has tax, but I'll still easy cast for 3. He's a black, so you can sometimes reanimate him. And definitely it's worth 5 mana. And 7, it's not the worst. So you're going to get at least 2 or 3 casts out of this every game.
Yeah, exactly. He's so cheap, he gets to be cast for free. And like you said, Liesa has no tax, and killing her is sometimes ineffective. I've gotten into one-on-one situations where players are low on life, and they go, all right, if I kill Liesa, what's her tax? It's like 2 life. It's like, oh. Well, then there's nothing I can do.
Yeah, I'm going to say that you got to kill this card. Even if it doesn't look, just kill it. You're going to lose if you don't kill this card and it doesn't look like it. And that's why it's so like underrated, overperformer, plays better than it reads, whatever you want to call it.
Yes. Up next, we have actually another commander I play. It's Ineos the Gale Force. This is another one. It's like kill on sight. All you have to do is attack with 3 flyers. Doesn't have to be Ineos, meaning Ineos can just, if there's 3 flyers in the battlefield and Ineos is in the command zone, you best be prepared, because Ineos is going to come out. they have crap in their deck to give away. Tons of useless crap. They're either a flyer that's like a 1/1 flyer, or they have like
A token.
A token. There's literally a ton of these things to give away, and they're just gonna move all your pieces you care about around. If your commander is the big one, if everyone has their commander out, all of a sudden nobody has their commander out
Except you.
except you, who still has Ineos.
Yeah, I think this card's really good. Says we're going to play a different game where if you don't interact with me before turn 5, you're going to lose. So kill this card. I mean, you literally take a turn off, kill this card, you're going to be glad you did.
Yeah, and be aware when it's coming. If there's 3 flyers on the battlefield, guess what? Ineos is most likely coming out next turn and doing its thing. When Ineos does its thing, it just takes over games. It's so powerful.
I think what's like frustrating about this card is that it's such a glass cannon. If they play their 3 flyers, then you just board wipe. Like, they just lose the game. The game's over for them. They don't get to play anymore. But then when they go off, it's like, where was everybody's removal spell? We could have stopped this. It's so easy to stop, and it feels like that never gets stopped.
Another thing about Ineos is that this is one thing I play this deck. The one thing that I don't like about Ineos is where you sit matters. It is the weirdest little thing. Like, you never want to be sitting to the right of this player.
Because they always take your best thing. You don't necessarily lose your best thing, but you have to think about, like, every spell I play is going to go to the Ineos player.
Yeah. But other than that, like, I think I play Ineos, and I think the deck is fun. And yeah, I'm fine with being the guy who got board wiped sometimes.
It's cool. I think this deck isn't as lame as it sometimes plays out. I think people need to use their removal better. Like,
I agree.
We were playing a game with it, and they just didn't even read the card.
Yeah,
and then you're like, okay, trigger it, and you switch everything around and like took the guy's best thing, and he's like, I didn't even read it. I'm like, well, let's start with that.
Yeah, the last two times I played it, just wasn't interacted with, and of course, it was an absolute house. If this card isn't interacted with, it is a house.
Yeah,
what do we have next?
It's like in the upper tier. These are all in the upper tier, but they don't look like they are. And if you misevaluate, the game's gonna swing to that person's favor.
Yes.
The next one is Velomicus Lorehold. 7 mana 5/5, then you attack, and he looks at the top like million cards in your library. But when we were like theory crafting this card, what we kind of thought of was like, oh, this is a combat thing. You can get an extra combat spell, and he's already a 5/5. You can just end games like Narset style with this, but he has haste.
Yes. So I looked it up just to see how many extra turn spells he can cast. I think there's 7. 7 that he can hit in his colors. Mathematically, you're probably going to be able to hit 1. He looks at 7 cards. He looks deep in your deck.
Yeah, so if you have all 7 in the top 50 cards, you're going to see them.
Yeah, exactly. And this card can just, it's not just that. There's so many more cards to get value. Like, every single time you attack with him, he gets a ton of value. His downside is he's a 7-mana thing. So ultimately, you want to leave up your removal for him because he's a hasty boy.
Yeah.
So you don't want him to be able to get off that attack and start going crazy. So you want to make sure you kill him before he gets an attack.
This is like if we had to graph the annoyance and the like your window of interaction. The window for Velomicus is like really small, but it's later in the game, and all the other ones are like wider. It's like, okay, well, just deal with one of the Ineos flyers, and then they're set back a whole turn, or kill Caustic and they're set back 2 turns, or kill Lisa and they have to spend 5 more mana. This is like, if you don't kill him before he attacks, you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah, these like Ineos and Velomicus, they need to be killed before the attack phase after they come out, because both of them are going to impact the board.
They have on combat
a ton, because they're both combat things. Yeah, exactly. Ineos is on attacks. I guess Velomicus is also on attacks.
Oh yeah. Next one is Cardor Doom Scourge. We've been scanning some of our other like channels we're friendlier with. I know Commander's Brew. They've been talking about like this thing overperforms like every time.
Yes. So if it's in the command zone, they're gonna have ways to flicker it. And yeah, they're in red and black. There's not a ton of ways. But I've never seen Conjurer's Closet be so good as it is in this deck.
I've never seen Conjurer's Closet be good outside of this deck. I think you don't have to flicker anything. You're in black. You just reanimate it.
That's true. You can do that too. It doesn't matter. Like Conjurer's Closet in this deck is perfect because you just want once every turn you want Carter to re-enter. The games end super fast. Everything has to attack, and not only that, everything that's dying during these attacks, all these horrible attacks you have to make, is gaining you life and losing everybody life. This card is a house.
Yeah, and since it says your opponents have to attack, you get to just pick the person who's now tapped out and just smash them. They can't do anything. Especially if you're in like a creature heavy meta where there's less like turn 8 combos. This is going to run people over if they don't respect it.
Yeah, I mean, I've even in my decks where I don't play like I have creatures, like some of my decks are creature based, but like even my not super heavily creature decks, they still like I don't want to attack all these creatures. These are utility creatures. This is a Viscerus here. It's for sacrificing creatures. It's not supposed to attack.
Yeah, and the thing is, what are you supposed to answer this with? It's an ETB trigger. You have to like counter it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that's even reasonable. Once it comes down, it's too late. The annoying thing is going to happen.
I think the one of the most annoying things about this card to me, from a perspective of playing against it, is I just feel like you have to keep Carter in check because this card always ends up in first or second because, guess what? When he enters, nothing can attack him. It's not like Ghostly Prison where there's a choice and like, oh, maybe I'll pay 2 to attack him. No, you can't. You literally cannot attack him until the turn cycle has gone around. And then if he flickers it again or plays it again, guess what? You can't attack him for another turn cycle.
If you were interested in building a budget deck and you had like you're just coming at me saying, what budget deck could I build? That would be super great. This is like in my top 5 suggestions. This card is a quarter and it's going to perform way better than cards that are similarly priced.
Yeah, this card is very good and it's overperformed every time I've seen it. What's next?
It's a card from Commander Legends. It's an uncommon. It's Malcolm, Keen-Eyed Navigator. He's just a Windrake, but he has the ability of when a pirate hits an opponent, you get a treasure for each opponent that got hit.
Now, there's just a ton of ways to abuse this. It's not... one, he has the infinite combo. If you don't know, you pair him with a red commander, putting you in red-blue, and then you have, what is his name?
Lightning Rig Crew?
No, Glinthorn Buccaneer.
Yeah.
Glinthorn Buccaneer, and you just have infinite mana. You just activate his ability infinitely. Well, it's not infinite. It's not technically infinite, but you have more cards in your deck. You have 40 cards in your deck, at least. Then you can kill everyone at the table.
Plus, an Eldrazi makes it infinite.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. And Eldrazi does just make it infinite. So he's got infinite combos like that. But on top of that, things like Lightning Ray Crew, they just tap to make you 3 treasures. You can easily get out of control super fast with this deck. His ability essentially has haste because he doesn't need to be the one hitting or attacking. It doesn't matter. And it's any damage, like we said, to like Lightning Ray Crew. Doesn't care. It's randomly a pirate, even though it doesn't look like a pirate at all.
I know what I was thinking of, the combo with Lightning Rig Crew, and I'll save it because it is relevant later. But
okay,
this is an uncommon. It just looks like nothing. This card looks so... I can't even think of the word.
Mediocre.
Mediocre, like typical limited filler, and it's like actually really good.
Yeah, you just got to be aware because it can just suddenly win the game out of nowhere. They can go turn 3 play this. Turn, I guess you need then whenever they have 5 mana, which could be any turn, they could just go Glimmer Buccaneer win. It's like, oh, out of nowhere because you have this card in the field, or they can just wait until they're built up to 8 mana, which is not a ridiculous amount at all in Commander, and just kill you in one shot out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's not necessarily just the fact that this has a 2-card combo somewhere. It's just keep an eye out because it's going to make more treasure than it looks like.
Exactly.
Every time.
Yeah, it's not all about the combo, but like that in my head, that's like that deck can literally just win at any time if it has red. Any time. And like his main partner is Breaches. They're meant to be partners. They're designed to be like that, so they play very well together.
Well, I think speaking of being able to win at any time and being red, we got to talk about my boy, best partner in the set, calling it, from Commander Legends, is Dargo the Shipwrecker. He's like 7 mana for a 7/5, but you can sack things to cast him, but then he checks for the turn, which is the key factor of everything you sack for the turn now reduces his cost by 2, including commander tax. So with Malcolm and Lightning Rig Crew, since Dargo's a pirate, you tap Lightning Rig Crew, make 3 treasures, sack them all for Dargo, reduces his cost by 6 and adds 3 red. So then you can cast Dargo infinite times, getting infinite untaps and killing everybody. Dargo has about 500 infinite combos that specifically require him that you really can't do with anything else. This card's awesome.
It's really simple. All you need to make is 1 red mana upon sacking him with Phyrexian Altar, and as long as you did the rest of the sacking for the turn, he just doesn't cost anything. And this keeps going. He goes infinite. So if you have the Phyrexian Altar, which is the main thing, or the any sack outlet with
Thermopod is one.
Pitiless Plunder was actually what I was thinking.
Yep.
There's 1,000,001 different little things with this, but all you need is a death payoff, an ETB payoff, or even on top of ETBs, a cast payoff.
Yep, and then you just win. We covered that Joe Cherries can be awful to play against if you don't deal with it. And this is the BZ can be awful to play against.
This deck is just it's just good. I mean, one of the main things that like turns me off about playing against this deck is it feels like every game just turns into the same thing where it's like you dig, go infinite.
My deck is Casket and Dargo. It's like every turn I'm going to look at like 7 cards.
The deck is great.
And just keep going. And this is more of one that is much different than Malcolm. It's got the, hey, watch out for the infinite combo. It's like, hey, watch out because the infinite combo is like 10 cards in the deck.
It's anything.
It's not just 1-1. It's 1 in like 10%. You have to always respect that they can do this. And what are you supposed to do? How do you stop Dargo?
You don't.
You counter it and you just play it again. You have to counter the other piece.
The only way to stop it really is to let them go a little deep. They go a little too deep, and then you have a counter spell, and they don't have a way to keep making them cheaper. Maybe
you got to like respond to the cast. Like if they have Phyrexian Altar, the only time you can do something is respond to the cast and kill the Phyrexian Altar. That's how you stop it.
Yeah, I mean it's rough. It's so hard to stop this combo. What do we have next?
It's Teshar, Ancestors Apostle. This is like the oldest card on the list, and it's from Dominaria, which is a couple years ago. How long ago was that?
Like 3 years ago now.
3?
I believe so.
I feel like it's like 8, but I don't want to look. So any historic spell is going to get a creature back from your graveyard, CMC 3 or less, and then there's effects that say, oh, when this happens, you put something back to your hand, or you're casting 0 drops, and then it just goes infinite real quick. It just gets out of hand, and it doesn't look like much necessarily, especially to the untrained eye, because it's like a mono white poopy flyer.
Yeah, it doesn't look like anything. It really looks boring, but as soon as you like build around this card and it's your commander, it can easily just go off so easily. I wish I knew the combos at the top of my head. I did at one point because I was like, what does this card do? And I looked up like, oh, it's a lot of combos.
Yeah, it's like, what does this deck actually look like? Ooh.
It looks, well, what the deck actually looks like is a pile of trash.
Yeah.
If you look at a Teshar, like 9-10 deck, those really good Teshar decks, they look like absolute piles of trash.
It looks like almost like if you haven't played Modern, it's like a dredge deck. You're like, what? These cards suck.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what? None of this does anything, but they all add up to infinite combos out the wazoo.
Yeah, this is kind of like Dargo. A bunch of cards in the deck are going to combo with Teshar, except it's like a million times easier to actually kill Teshar.
Yeah, it is easier. Teshar is more interactable than Dargo. Dargo could sit in the command zone all game and win.
You can sit in the you can literally sit in the command zone with attacks of like 40, and you can still win with them.
Eventually, yeah. As you can get to that point. Up next, Dina Soul Steeper. This one, some people might know it right away why this card is scary, and some people don't. The thing that makes this card very scary is it is a 2-card combo out of the command zone, and on top of that, it's just you're going to be putting in all the the Blood Artist, all of the Zulapur Cutthroats, all of those cards. And every single time a creature dies, everyone's not losing 1 life. They're losing 2 life. So this is just going to add up and kill people super fast. Add in the fact that there's that 2-card combo, and this card is scary as can be.
It's the cheapest one on this list, I guess, except Dargo, who technically costs like -1,000. But Dina, there's so many ways to get these tiny little 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. It's different from like Vito, who wants you to gain like 10 and then dome somebody for 10. She's like, just gain a 1 like a million times and you're going to win. And it's so easy to do that. There's that Essence Warden.
Yeah.
It's just whenever a creature, it's just a green Soul Sister. Whenever a creature enters, you gain 1. So now you have, all right, play a creature, gain 1, you all lose 1. Sack it, gain a life off whatever it was, like a pest. You all lose 1. And then, Blood Artist and Zulapur Cutthroat it triggers. So you're going to lose 1, and then lose 1, and then lose 1, and I'll gain 1. And then you're going to lose 1.
I keep being shocked.
Like,
what? Talking about Essence Warden right now, just because I want to make a quick note of this, I've been shocked at how good Soul Sisters have been. They seem so medium, but like 50 creatures can come on a game of EDH sometimes.
In life gain, you got to care about the thing.
You have to care about the life gain in some way. But like our friend plays a Darien deck, and he has a Soul Sister. It's like, hit me for 10. I dare you. Oh, I'll hit you for 10. All right, I'll gain 10 back.
I'll tap this creature. You can create 10 tokens. And it's like, oh, I don't think you wanted to do that.
Yeah, and Soul Sister's way overperformed. Dina, again, yeah, you put your Essence Ward in here, all of a sudden, any creature enters the battlefield, everyone loses 1. A total of 40 creatures can't be played before you win.
And she's a sack outlet. So she can, when you have the Blood Artist and stuff, you don't even need a sack outlet. She's the sack outlet. She'll just pump all your mana, sack your whole team, and win that way. And I just think that even that next ability, where like that part of that ability where she gets +X+O, that could be relevant. If you make a huge thing, you have to respect her on blocks too.
You always have to respect her on blocks. I've made the mistake. I've literally messed this up in Limited because you just forget that this character can do that. It's like,
they're attacking with a 6/6 and Dina. Well, I'm at 6, so I'll just take the Dina damage. Oh no, they moved the 6 over.
Yeah, I'm dead. Last one here, and I think this card I have not played against this card.
This is more speculative.
This is so speculation. I am so sure, though, in my head that this card is amazing. It's Nimbus, Una's Trickster. It is a 1/6 for like 5 mana with Flash. It's in blue-black, and it wants you to play instants. And every time you play the first spell on each other player's turn, you look at the top 2 and put it in your hand. You slide a hand every time.
Yeah, I actually have been thinking about building this card. The question is, I already have a deck that's like a little bit on the like permission lame side, and this feels like it's on the permission lame side. I wonder if there's like a way to go where everything is flash matters. There's so many of those now.
Yeah, you can just do a flashy type deck. I think this card is really good. How do you get this card? Can afford as long as like you just have to untap with this.
Yeah, don't worry about the whole. Oh, they're gonna like every other commander in this. You know, they're probably gonna get targeted and they can die. This one, when your deck is built around it, it's never gonna die. You have infinite instants to back it up.
It's so many. It's coming out at the end of right before your turn. Then you're going to untap, okay? Now you can protect it with 1,000,000 spells. This is crazy. That's what I think. And the fact of the matter is, yeah, sure, this deck plays 17 1-for-1s. It doesn't matter. Every single 1-for-1 has sleight of hand stapled onto it for some reason.
Yeah, on your turn, well, I'm going to opt, and I'm going to draw 2 cards off of it. And it's not like you can't play a counterspell then. You just don't get the cool value. You can still protect Nimrus.
Yeah, I think I honestly think this deck just wants to play things like regular counterspell. Like, I don't think, we talk about like the non-excitedness of a regular counterspell, but in this deck, where you're going to get to draw off it, I'll gladly pay my 1-for-1 2-mana thing. I'm not going to feel sad about it. No. Not even a little bit.
Yeah, this is like a foil deck too. This is another good budget one. You can have the free counterspell like foil that costs 2 cents. And you pitch 2 cards to it, doesn't matter. You get 1 back.
Yeah, exactly. This is the only speculatory one I think on here. The other ones I'm like, sure. Like I've either played against them or I just know through conversation with the community that they're very good. Nimrus is like speculative. But
the rest are the real deal. Yeah. Be careful. Yeah. Seriously, like tread carefully. They're all going to run you over.
You absolutely have to make sure you play to beat these commanders because they're not all the same way to beat it. You got the way you beat a Dargo deck is you got to hold up your right counter spells and kill their right pieces. It's tough. But that's our video. Special shout outs to all of our patrons. We love you all as much as we can without making you uncomfortable.
No, we don't make you uncomfortable because we're awesome and we do daily content. So if you like it, please go to the TCG player link in the description that we set up for you to buy cards that you were going to buy anyway, except when you buy these cards, it's a special link, so we get supported, and we make money off of you buying cards, but you're not spending money on us. You're spending money on the cards, and we get the money that you didn't spend on us, and it's amazing.
Yes. So we appreciate every dollar you spend on TCG Player through our link. That is much appreciated. We appreciate when you go to the Patreon and say, hey, I like these guys so much, I'm going to give them dollar bills. And we would appreciate you joining the Discord and hanging out with us, because in there, it's all Nitpicking Nerds fans, and we're all like-minded individuals who love Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, we're working on a Kickstarter too. It's in the very early stages. Let us know if you got hype for that.
Yeah, the Kickstarter. Just to mention it, because not everyone might not know. It is for gameplay. It is going to be probably releasing in the next month or two.
Real gameplay, not like Magic Online or spell tables. Like in person, 4 people, top-down playmats, cards that are real.
Yes,
gameplay.
Very, very exciting. Cannot wait to actually do it. Like, I can't even explain how excited I am. Like, pumped.
How many comments have we gotten? When are you guys going to do gameplay? We're working on it.
Hundreds?
Thousands?
I don't know if it's thousands.
Might be 1,000.
Definitely hundreds. Maybe thousands.
Feel free to add to those thousands of comments in the comment section.
Do you have any tidbit about our life before we...
I figured that was it.
I'm starting the first steps of moving into the new house this Saturday, though.
Yeah, we got to do a deep clean on the house. Not looking forward to that.
Yeah, but... You gotta do it, and we gotta clean up the house, and it's gonna be great. That's why we're able to do gameplay, because we're getting the life.
Yeah, I'm like, once I get in there, I think once the place is like vacant and I can step foot in there, I'm just putting my 2 weeks in. I can't. It's just like I'm losing my mind. I don't want to work my other job anymore.
Yeah, I'm excited. We get to actually. What excites me is next Sunday, not this upcoming Sunday, but the Sunday after that is Big Garbage Day. I can't wait to move all the stuff out of the house to the curb. Get out of here.
Throwing stuff out is amazing. It's like the best feeling. I don't know about anybody else. I love throwing things out.
Yeah, we'll donate the things that have any use, but we're not going to donate the couch that has absorbed 5,000 cigarettes.
It might be 5,000.
Yeah, it smells really gross, but
not when we're done with it.
Now we're done. It's yeah. That house is going to be
good,
sparkly clean. Peace out, Tribe Scout.